I actually, she's the only one in the system that tries to work with us. So I know of all of us. She's the one who should say. You're getting that up, I can tell you, but. He's trusted. Was it free or do you charge me?
Johnny Cash.
It's the meters. Hey, did you get your late, Carol? Check your phone.
Go to pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity we have to serve the citizens of this county. It is a special privilege, and we thank you for giving this ability that we have. We pray that we deliberate and try to serve those that we serve, that our deliberations would be productive and that they would not be full of rancor. We pray that you would just bless this county, bless the state, bless our nation. Pray that you would keep your hand on those who keep us safe at all levels. Especially pray for the fellow ranchers and farmers that are going through a devastating period right now in Oklahoma and northern Texas. Some of the reports are just mind-blowing. So we ask that you grant them special protection and you grant them the ability to navigate through the devastating fires that they are facing. Pray now that you would just be with us. So we ask this all in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hear ye, hear ye. The Elkhart County Council is now in session. Any and all business brought before them. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the February 19th, 2026 meeting of the Elkhart County Council. Brandy, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bielski?
Here.
Mr. Clark?
Here.
Mr. Graham? Mr. Hess?
Here.
Mr. Ricksecker?
Here.
Mr. Stump?
Here.
Leon?
So you've all seen copies of the minutes of the January 15th, 2026 meeting. Any corrections or comments?
Motion approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of January 15th, 2026. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously. So Steve Clark has something he wants to say before we get our meeting started here formally.
Yeah, before we get started, on behalf of the entire council, we have a certificate here to. Ooh, I am nice and echoey. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a certificate here to approve. It is not better. I will step away. A good friend of this council and somebody who often speaks up and shares his mind is our friend Glenn Knoll. And Glenn comes across as I like to call him a curmudgeon, and I think he appreciates that and gets a good chuckle out of it. And so we get to go back and forth on that. I've also heard him refer to himself as a gadfly, which is something Socrates referred to himself as. And a gadfly is something that annoys to the point where it tries to create change. And so Glenn, on behalf of the entire Elkhart County Council, and we've talked about it, we have here a Lifetime Curmudgeon Achievement Award. And on it, we have pictures of a gadfly. It is signed by all of us. And we know you're going through health problems and you might not be coming back. And so we just, on your last trip here, wanted to tell you how much we do appreciate you, how much you provoke questions, sometimes in a curmudgeonly way. And so what is his thing about sugar and something?
Kerosene.
Medicine, sugar and medicine. Well, we're just giving you sugar. So on behalf of all of us, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to committee reports. Commissioners?
Thank you. Susie Warwick. I guess I don't have to say Elkhart County Commissioner here, but yeah. As county officials and members of the Indiana County Commissioners Association, all three of us commissioners believe that it is imperative that the public be informed regarding the passage of House Bill 1001 out of the Indiana State Judiciary Committee yesterday, Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Under the guise of supporting affordable housing, members of the Indiana General Assembly, including Elkhart County representatives, voted to remove local control under both county and municipal planning and zoning ordinances. House Bill 1001 removes the ability to maintain oversight and regulate design elements, including the number of rooms, setbacks, parking spaces, parcel density, and square footage of residential structure without regard to the size of the parcel containing the proposed structure. House Bill 1001 also mandates certain types of housing, including duplexes and mixed use, be allowed in residential and commercial zoning without regard to any approval by a comprehensive plan. Removal of local oversight will directly affect septic systems, public health, traffic, stormwater, and the capacity of county services. In addition, local units will no longer be allowed to increase permit fees or change impact fees that were put in place for counties to handle and correct infrastructure needs that it is an inevitable result of the increased traffic and development. Most concerning, the bill removes public hearing requirement put into place to allow residing citizens the ability to have a voice concerning growth within their own communities. A one-size-fits-all zoning mandate from the state does not reflect the realities of rural, suburban, and urban counties across Indiana. There are always unique circumstances requiring expertise and oversight from local planning and zoning experts. Elkhart County is committed to being partners in solving Indiana's housing challenges. We simply ask for the ability to do so responsibly with the tools needed to serve our community effectively. To be clear, nothing in House Bill 1001 seeks to reduce interest rates for buyers, building, construction, or development costs, nor mandates savings from remove local passage fees are passed on to home buyers. We will hold the local electorate and the General Assembly accountable for not adhering to Elkhart County's home rule and will not continue to support representatives who continue to vote for legislation that harms our citizens and takes away our private property rights. We are calling on all local officials and citizens of Elkhart County to join us in our strong opposition by reaching out to state senators to oppose this harmful legislation that is scheduled to be heard on the Senate floor early next week in the General Assembly. Have any questions?
Did you say that passed the House?
It originated in the House, it passed the House, it passed the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, and it will be heard on the Senate floor probably Monday or Tuesday. So any comments will be helpful to be submitted by the weekend.
Who's the author of the bill?
Representative Doug Miller.
I was not aware of that.
And it is very rare that all three of us commissioners have the same ire on the same subject to the same level, and it is there. Anything else?
Well, I could say something about that. A lot of those things that you talked about, when I was on the city council in Goshen, I tried to work against some of those things. And so, or in the opposite direction of the way that's pointed, because to take, number one, to put any use next to residential use is not good planning in anybody's book, as far as I'm concerned, that at least without some kind of a hearing or zoning regulation. I mean, that's
It's ridiculous.
That's unbelievable. It is.
It's irresponsible and ridiculous to not have that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would definitely make some comments there. So, any other comments?
Thank you.
We'll go to council. Daryl?
No.
David?
Nothing.
Steve?
Yeah, a couple things. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. Doug Graham wanted me to tell the story. He couldn't be here, but he did drive to Napanee to sign Glenn's certificate there. So he went out of his way and he wanted me to tell a story about time when Glenn was criticizing the something about the flag on top of the courthouse not being at half staff. And so they took him up there and he saw like what it took to actually move it to half staff. And but the hint of truth in that was we moved the flag off and put a separate part so it could be put at half staff when it needed to. So he wanted to give you kudos and say thank you. Senator Linda Rogers from Elkhart County has put an amendment into a bill that would help with SEA 1. Let me be clear, nobody's taxes will go up because of it. In fact, I'd argue taxes will likely stay lower because now you're not competing for the 1.2 and the 1.2 and everybody stacking on top. If it goes one for SEA 1 of 2025, if it goes through, I believe taxes will actually stay lower on the local income tax and the distribution will be more equitable. So we are really hopeful that that will go through. I have very little faith in Indy some days, but we'll see. And then the last thing is, I also wanted to give a shout out to Senators Dorio and Representative Tim Wesco. A lot of reps will tell you, oh yeah, we'll look into that. They actually went to bat and tried to get some legislation that would benefit the county and help us with cost reductions. One of them you're going to hear about here in not too long when the county assessor gets up. So I want to give shout outs to the state legislators that are actually working for us.
Adam?
No.
Well, I have one thing to say. About Glenn Null, I've known him for a long time. I served in the Goshen City Council for 21 years, as some of you know. And I think the very first council meeting, or if not the first, somewhere soon along the line, Glenn started to show up. And without Glenn being there for those 21 years, I wouldn't have known what to do. Every meeting, he had a suggestion on how the council should behave. And then there's another incident where I think at the redevelopment commission meeting, which I was on, Glenn was being extremely vociferous about something, and I threatened to have the chief of police throw him out, and it slowed him down a little bit, but not for long. Anyhow, that never took place, but that was one of the great things I remembered about Glenn. And Glenn, you've been a good person to have around because you've always brought up things that sometimes we hadn't thought about, and sometimes we had, and I always appreciated what you have to say. So hopefully you'll be able to come to more meetings, but if you can't, you'll be in our minds, our thoughts. So thank you for being there. Okay, if there's nothing else, Sheriff, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to forget you. Okay, great, thank you. So we'll have an update on Senate Bill 8 from Kristen Edson.
Hello. Thank you for putting me on the agenda, and I actually have some items for you that I'm going to pass out before I start speaking.
Thank you.
So, Kristen Edson, Executive Director of the Elkhart Public Library, and I want to be clear that I'm actually here really to talk about the Elkhart Public Library's annual impact report, which is what I just handed out, and for everyone in the room to let you know that it is available online on our website for all of those that would like to review the information. I will give a brief update on Senate Bill 8, and that kind of just came up because I had conversations with Councilman Clark and Hess last week, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that bill. So first, though, let's get into the community impact report. So this report gives me an opportunity to brag about the work of my staff because, in case you didn't know, I've only been here for 5 months, so I didn't have much to do with all of the wonderful work that they did last year, but it is pretty fantastic. One thing that I wanted to be sure to print out or point out to you is that on page 13, you can see our program attendance metrics, which is actually very impressive. Not only have we rebounded from the COVID-19 shutdown, but we've actually grown our programming attendance. So while Elkhart Public Library is the 14th largest library in the state of Indiana, we currently now have the 7th largest participation of attendance at programs. And we focus obviously on books. That's the bread and butter of libraries. Access to the books and information are where we started and what we do, and we continue to help our community grow in early literacy and for a passion and love of reading. So in 2025, more than 7,000 kids got ready for kindergarten through story time and our Growing Readers program, which is a 30-minute one-on-one session with a tutor, a child, and their parent to help them grow and become stronger readers. Our staff had 14,441 touch points with students either through classroom visits, and last year we had 958 students come through our downtown library, which Councilman Hess, you actually got to see that. And this year we expanded. Last year it was just Elkhart Community Schools, and this year we've expanded to include Concord Community Schools, which is also within our service district. We had a 10% increase in registered students for our summer reading challenge, which is equated over 93,000 days of reading, which is extremely important to combat the summer slide that can happen between grades. And this summer, we're already working on summer reading challenge, and we're now going to include adults because one of our most recent mottos is read with everyone, and the importance of creating a love of reading in children is to see an adult in their life read. So we're opening it to everyone this summer. There's a lot more things that I can go through, but in the essence of time, I will move on to Senate Bill 8, which I want to say, first off, I am not here as a spokesperson for anybody. Again, it just came up in natural conversation with the councilman that I thought you all should be aware of Senate Bill 8. There have been a lot of changes to the language, but Senate Bill 8 regards library budgets and its approval process. So the biggest thing to note is that if it does pass, which it may still, that libraries, specifically Elkhart Public Library, would have to come to this body for finding review more frequently because they are reducing the growth quotient. And also remember, I've only been here 5 months. I've only been in the state 5 months. So if you have specific questions, I'm still getting used to the differences in governmental finance in the state of Indiana. But so that's the largest change. Instead of just our governing board of trustees approving the budget, we would come to you to approve the budget, which then affects our timeline of when we need to get everything ready to come before you. And then obviously it would be an additional hearing for you all to have during that process. Not all libraries in this county would come to you. I know for sure that Goshen is still considered kind of a city library in essence, and so they would go to the city council. The other 4, I believe, would come here, but I'm actually not sure about Napanee because, again, I'm not an expert yet. And that was pretty much the update that I had for you.
Any questions from council?
No, I'll say the comment when we discuss, again, I don't know the intricacies of SB 8, and I haven't really read through it, but I personally don't see too much of an issue with overseeing the budget of taxpayer dollars as the fiscal body, but that's a personal preference.
And back to that comment, since coming here, I've done a lot of, well, maybe not a lot, but I have done some reading in our historical documents, and at least at some point, somewhere in like the late 50s to early 60s, it was noted that the Elkhart Public Library was coming to you all to give a budget presentation, which I'm open to doing regardless of whether or not SB 8 happens. I'm all for communication between all of us. And if you ever want some time with me, please reach out. I'm here to discuss, and we serve a lot of the same residents, so I'm here.
I'd personally, and I know you've got my email,
Mhm.
if you'd send me a copy of the budget, I'd appreciate that.
Well, it may be something that you were finding in history. It may not have been the county council that they came to. At one time, there was a property tax control board that functioned for all units in the county. And whether it be township, library, whatever, they came to that property tax control board. That went away somewhere, I think, in the 60s. And then when Bowen's tax bill came along, then that changed dramatically everything. And then some of those responsibilities shifted to council, some I think just went away. And some of those are still retained by the state, because there is a state property tax control board and appeals can go to it and some of those kinds of things. But I think that's probably how that interplay happened in the 50s. There was a property tax control board. Every unit, taxation unit made a presentation with that property tax control board.
That certainly makes sense, because there wasn't much other than, I'm going down to Goshen to go before county council or whatever. There definitely wasn't that specific language
Yeah.
in there. So I appreciate that context.
Didn't we used to look at their budget though? Like, I thought when I first started on the council.
When they had a bond issue.
When they have a bond.
Yes, when you have a-
Yeah, because that's when
That's a
we did the
different issue.
binding review. We did it with Napanee this year.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And you would probably, so the whole point behind SB 8 is you'd be doing that probably annually because of how much they are asking to lower the growth quotient. So,
And the thing that makes it complicated then for Napanee
yep.
is that it across county lines, so they have that interplay in both Elkhart County and Tascasco County.
It's the same when we appoint board members.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Kristen.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So we're now coming to the portion of our meeting where we do additional appropriations. And at the start of the appropriations, I read the process that we go through. We are now moving to the additional appropriation requests. Each request will be handled separately by the board, and I will give the public and council members, as a part of the public hearing process, an opportunity to comment after presentation of the appropriation request. When no further comments are made on the specific request, the public hearing will be deemed closed, and the council will vote upon the specific request. So we'll start with the first one, Tiara.
Parks and Rec is here requesting $25,000 from CFEC placemaking grant.
Is anybody here to speak to that?
It just, in the appropriation just says it's for restoration of a historic log cabin at the River Preserve County Park.
Really, no
Yeah. I
no
mean, we can
representation, we're not.
Table it or decline it. I don't really care. I mean, because they just have to put it back on the agenda. If we table it, does it just automatically get put on the next agenda? Yeah. So I'd move to table it till next month.
Second.
It's been moved to table request A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and that passes 5-0. It's tabled till next meeting.
The next request is from the clerk's office asking for $29,382 from the clerk perpetuation fund.
Oh,
Things haven't changed. She's still asking for money.
Well.
I know, it's a little odd being on this side of the podium. Just saying. Patty Pickens, clerk. So the reason for the additional appropriation this evening is we have 3 new copiers at the new courthouse. And I think it might have been day 2 or 3 that I got a call from the vendor and said, hey, when are you going to pay these invoices? So they were purchased, I believe, in September or October of 25, and those invoices have not been paid, and there were no funds encumbered to cover those for this year. So
This is the one that ticked me off
No.
because it
No.
didn't
Different
go-
one.
It's a different one?
So
Yeah.
that
This happened
was,
again?
Call her and ask her.
so that was for 10 printers from the copy image. And
Oh.
we're working with the commissioner's office on that. We've been able to utilize one of those printers for another area in the office where the printer died and we had to use that. But no, that is completely different. These are 3 copiers, and I had some communication with Tony Brinson, and evidently in the beginning, Christopher did not communicate with IT because that was the issue with the printers. And eventually there was some communication because there had to be some special hookups on one of the copy machines, but they are all hooked up to the network. And
I'm not gonna hold you accountable for what your predecessor did, but this is
I
why
appreciate that.
elections matter.
Patty, I have a question with, because that was also part of some other discussions in the interim, everything was going. All those other bills that I know I was included in the emails, is everything taken care of in that office? Because there was a lot that was coming from Carol and all that stuff at the end that is there gonna be more of this is basically what I'm asking. That's my,
So I do have an appropriation on for next month.
Okay.
We had an election board meeting this morning or at noon today. It was the first one we'd held because there was a contract signed by Christopher on December 10th for new e-poll books. So that was not in my budget for this year, and he didn't encumber funds for those either. So that'll be coming to you next month. And the reason we don't have an option is the old poll books were obsolete as of 12/31/2024. So we have the new ones. They're en route already. I believe they'll be here sometime next week. So that will be coming next month. I spent the first couple of weeks in office getting past due invoices taken care of. So I'm hoping that this is the last of them, but I don't know that yet.
Motion to approve.
second.
Any questions from the council? Questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $29,382 from Clerk Perpetuation Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Up next, we have code enforcement asking for $59,000 from the general fund.
Council, good afternoon. Mayhope Planning and Development. Almost exactly a year ago, so in March of 2025, I came before you and asked for $60,000 for a project with information and records to get all of our documents that were remaining in the office scanned in, so they were available digitally to us. That appropriation last year was approved, but it was not approved under a project number, so I'm asking for 59 because we managed to have one bill paid out from last year to this year for that project. So now it's coming before you. Same request. Slightly less, just because we've paid one bill out of that in this time, so 59,000 rather than the 60.
It's the same amount, but it was left in the budget from last year, so it got returned to the county.
Yes, yep, we did not encumber it, so it's a project that will be encumbered if we need to, which we shouldn't need to.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $59,000 from code enforcement or from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Health Department asking for $1,286.16 from the Health Operating Fund.
Melanie Sizemore, Health Department. These are funds that back in 2022, we accidentally paid a claim out of 9148, which is our safety pin grant, but it should have been paid out of 1159. So we're just paying it back and making it right.
Move to approve.
Second. Any questions from the audience? Questions from the council? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $1,286.16 from the Health Operating Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. That passes 5-0.
Health Department asking for $20,000 from the Public Health Preparedness Grant.
This is to appropriate the emergency preparedness grant that we receive annually. We used to receive 25,000. They're now giving us 20,000. So this is setting the budget.
So, okay, so you set your budget, you thought you were gonna get 25, you actually got 20, now you just need to appropriate to buy those supplies, but that was part of your original budget?
No, normally we get 25,000 for many years. We got 25,000 and this year they cut it by 5,000. We just received the contract not so long ago, so we're appropriating the funds, the whole 20,000 for the budget.
Makes sense. I guess what I'm asking is, but you had it in your mind that you were gonna get a certain amount, I'm
Yes.
guessing. So if you weren't to get this $0, is it budgeted somewhere else? And I guess what I'm kind of getting at the end of the year, do we basically get 20,000 back because you didn't use the full amount? Or how do you do that in your budgeting?
We go by what they decide to give us. They tell all the counties, this is what you're going to get this year, and we budget according to that. If we were to not receive those funds, then the funds are in 1159, sort of. So like tires and tubes and gas, we still have to do emergency preparedness work. She still has to drive to a ton of meetings. So we would need to work on that. We would just find funds elsewhere for supplies and that sort of thing.
Any other questions from the council? Questions from the audience or comments?
You gotta add something.
I was just gonna say something. So this is gonna come up a lot today, to Steve's point. The grants can't be put in the budget because they don't know what the grant amounts are last summer when we're doing the budget. So that's why this month, that's why there's 28 requests today. A lot of this is just reestablishing grants we get every year. They know their dollar amounts that's coming through. So this is how we want it. We would love to see it in the budget, but they can't because they can't budget until they get the grant awarded. So that's why a lot of these are today, and there won't be as many questions just for the public. That's why we're not. They're just the normal grants. Motion to approve.
Second.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $20,000 from the Public Health Preparedness Grant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. That passes 5-0.
Health Department asking for $3,780 from the lead grant.
So these are funds left over from the lead grant that we received a couple of years ago. We still have to do lead work, so we're using these funds to, the $780 is to purchase 2 translators that translates into Spanish for our non-Spanish speaking staff that go out and do the risk assessments and work with the families. And then the 3,000 are for various supplies, most of which end up going to the families to help them clean up and remediate their homes as best they can on their own.
Sorry, this is the one I was asking you about earlier.
Yes.
So I told you, I gave you a warning. I asked about it. I understand the 780. I thought it was 3780 for the
Yeah,
translators. That's
no.
So what is the 3,000 for?
3,000 are for supplies. So we give families like a cleaning kit so they can clean their homes of lead, because a lot of times it's lead dust left in window sills and in, baseboards and that sort of thing. And they can clean that. So we give them the appropriate cloths and cleaning supplies to do that so they can get rid of a lot of the lead on their own.
I mean, that's what the grant's for, so I won't argue against it. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any questions, any more questions from the council? Questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $3,780 from the lead grant fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Health Department asking for $37,500 from the Tobacco Prevention ECDEP Fund.
These are dollars from the drug-free partnership that we received in a grant. We're appropriating them for these areas.
Questions from the council? Questions from the audience? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve $37,500 from Tobacco Prevention ECDEP. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Emergency Management asking for $5,482.25 from the general fund.
Hello, Council. My name's Courtney Matthews. I'm with Emergency Management in Elkhart. I'm asking an appropriation for our donation line item in the EMA budget.
Questions?
Where
My
do the
only-
donations come from?
Sure. So they come from a few sources. One source is we do trainings at the county level, and people can bring donations in for the trainings. We essentially use this line item to purchase lunch for the people that come to trainings. We find that when you offer people food, more come, and that helps spread knowledge. And then we also have had benefactors that have given us money over the course of a few years.
That's true, isn't it, Steve? You have food, you come.
You know the way to my heart. Still won't go to the safety management stuff. That's it.
Other questions from the council? Any questions or comments from the audience?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve $5,482.25 from the general fund. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and that passes 5-0.
Emergency Management asking for $64,469.47 from the Emergency Planning Right to Know Fund.
So we're requesting funds to appropriate our budget for the local emergency planning commission. The LEPC is responsible for hazardous material response and training throughout the county for all of our tier 2 facilities.
Questions? Questions from the audience or comments? Is there a motion?
Motion approved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve $64,469.47 from Emergency Planning Right to Know Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That passes 5-0.
Emergency Management asking for $7,000 from the 20.703 HMEP Decontamination Exercise Fund.
Jennifer Toby, Director of Emergency Management. Guys, this is a grant for hazardous materials, emergency planning, 100% reimbursable from the state. This year we have asked for $7,000. We're partnering with Goshen Fire on the decontamination trailer. We're going to do an exercise with them, and then they're going to man the trailer and go around to the other responding fire departments and teach them how to use it. And then the idea is that we're going to be more self-sufficient. When the hazmat team goes out, Goshen will pull the decon trailer and we'll have our assets on scene sooner than later.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions from the audience? Comments? Question back to the council. Any questions? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve $7,000 from the HMEP Contamination Exercise Fund. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And that passes 5-0.
Emergency Management asking for $22,500 from the, where am I? Emergency Management Fund. No, okay, it's too many things on this agenda. 20.703 HMEP LEPC Training Fund.
Okay, this is a similar grant. You can apply for this grant as a different agency. So the first one we did through emergency management. This one we applied for through the local emergency planning committee. Obviously, it's worth a little bit more money because we want to incorporate more training. So with the 22.5, we're actually going to partner with Buoyant Beauty as well as Chemtech and provide 2 separate tabletop exercises. They requested them, so we told them to meet us halfway. They'll be paying for half of that. We are going to offer 2 40-hour HAZWOPER classes. We partner with the health department for that. Our first one coming up in March only has 2 spots left out of the allowable 16 spots. And then I went ahead and threw in the ICS NIMS because I was allowed to. So we'll be getting money for 2 ICS 300 courses and 1 ICS 400 course. And we're a pretty proficient county when it comes to training, and we fill those courses up north here quite a bit as well. And this grant is also 100% reimbursement.
Questions from the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions from the audience or comments? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $22,500 from the HMEP LEPC Training Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And that passes 5-0.
Emergency Management asking for $2,525.01 from the NIPSCO Safety Grant Fund.
Courtney Matthews, Elkhart County Emergency Management again. We are asking that, we received a grant last year from NIPSCO. I was a safety grant worth $4,000. We used part of that funds to purchase public safety radios here in the county. And we are asking that the remainder that was not spent be given back to our department. For weather radios, excuse me, yes. Thank you, Jen.
So one question I do have, because it brought it up here at the radio, so.
Sure.
Hopefully you can answer. If not, Jen's smiling, so she can. I know we talked about it recently, and we talked about last summer, we're gonna be coming. Where are we at on getting grants to cover the radios that we had talked about?
Do you have that answer?
Not really, no.
So we have applied for grants for radios. The biggest one is through the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, SHSP. That's being held up because it hasn't been reviewed by FEMA because of the furloughing. So once we hear back from that, then we'll have an idea of which way we want to go. I will say that a couple of the donors that we used last year have already approached us and said, come back and ask again. It's okay to dip your hand in this candy jar a second time. So we do have plans, but we're waiting to hear on the big grant first.
I can ask, obviously, somebody else is doing, feels like you're training them to do these. Who is this person?
Oh, yeah.
I'm Courtney Matthews. I'm the Deputy Director of Administration and Support, and I've been with the county for almost 10 months now. So this is my first council meeting I've presented at, but I've attended a few.
Fair enough.
And Matthew would have been here, but he's in training. So you'll meet him probably at a different meeting.
Okay.
Deputy Director of Operations.
So how many weather radios can you purchase for $2,500?
$50, right?
Yeah, we actually get them for $38 a piece, so.
$38 a piece?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're gonna get a lot of them.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? Questions from the audience or comments? Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve $2,525.01 from the NIPSCO Safety Grant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you, Council.
Up next is Buildings and Grounds asking for $300,000 from the Jail Cadget Lit Special Projects Fund.
And no, I'm not the Director of Buildings and Grounds. I'm Brad Rogers, County Commissioner, on behalf of Joe Lightman, who couldn't be here today. And this is $300,000 for the large ticket repairs at the Elkhart County Jail, so that we don't get in a situation that we did earlier in the year where we had boilers that we had no money to repair. And you might ask, well, why wasn't it budgeted? Because Joe wasn't involved in that. This was handled by the commissioners previously, and the funds were not encumbered. And so Joe is asking that he has this amount of money that he'll take care of and manage this from here on in. Any questions?
Yeah, the only question I have, and I'm not opposed to it, I'm just, there's is it cume cap that sits there kind of ready for it. Why not? Why have two of them? Does that make sense?
I don't know if I know the answer to that.
Sorry, yeah.
Barnes County Commissioner. So what's going on at the jail is we've replaced probably 95% of all the big ticket items. We got the chillers, the boilers, and everything's running. Now we're we're hooking the automated system up.
Oh, like the controls?
Yeah. So now we're finding out that we got VFDs, variable frequency drives, aren't working on pump motors, or we're finding automatic valves that are needing replaced. So we're just putting this money together. So he's getting everything bidded. It's it's being bird dogged like nobody's business, but this is to help get everything fully automated.
Gotcha.
Then, right?
Yeah, it's not really going to sit there. There's something specific. We just
Right.
don't have the exact numbers yet.
Yeah, and we're watching, I'm involved with with vendors and with Joe and all his maintenance, so he's doing a good job.
Yep, fair enough. I'll move to approve.
And the difference between jail jail is for specific for the jail.
That's fair. Yeah.
And where coon cap is more for anything else.
Yeah.
Second.
Any other questions for the council? Questions from the audience? If not, it's been moved and seconded to appropriate $300,000 from the jail cadget special projects fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. And that passes 5-0.
And Brad, I just didn't understand there was something specific this was going to. That's fair.
Up next, we have commissioners asking for $280,227 from the general fund.
Brad Rogers, County Commissioner. This is additional appropriation for the Humane Society. These funds are for the city and towns portion of the contract between the county and the Humane Shelter. The county portion of the contract was budgeted. The city and town portion was not. We do not budget the city and town portion because we don't know if they're going to participate. But we have received all the commitments from the cities and towns now, and we have all their agreements and require their funds. Each city and town participating pays the county their portion, which then pays the Humane Shelter under one contract from the county.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Anything from the council? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve $280,227 from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And that passes 5-0.
Commissioners asking for $250,000 from the general fund.
So this is for the continued reconstruction and renovation of the historic Goshen Courthouse. And we continue to make progress in there that eventually we'll have an open house and allow the public in to see all the new improvements. Everything from the hardwood floors are being restored, actually, and the historic nature of it, I think, is actually coming out more than what it had been recently. We're painting offices, restoration of furniture, electrical work, network wiring, the dies in the circuit court, which is going to be where the commissioners and council meet. That's in progress. Carpet in circuit court, the sound system update in circuit court, and the replacing of subflooring on the first floor areas, cleaning and restoration of walls, and restoration of tile floors, and all the work, with few exceptions, have been completed by local Elkhart County contractors. The requested amount should get the county to a point of move-in. There's much more work to come, including windows, a roof, other painting, decorating, and restoration.
I just want to commend you guys because I've seen it on LinkedIn connections and everything else about the local contractors and how excited they are to be working on that. I mean, they're sharing it. They're thankful. So to have people locally that actually care about what's going to look like at the end of the day, I appreciate the commissioners doing that due diligence. And I understand not everything can be done by local people, but when you can, I do appreciate it. And I know the community is because I'm seeing the comments and the shares. And so thank you for that. Motion to approve.
Second. I saw that as well.
Any other questions from the council?
Anticipated time for moving summer, late summer?
Yeah, I would say probably by June 1st, hopefully before then, and I think Goshen City Court is planning on being in there by May 1st. So we're really working diligently to try to get that up, because if Goshen City Court's in, the building has to be public. So we have to have everything at least fairly well done in the public areas so that we can have them access it.
Will that have security? Like,
no. So you would be able to come and go freely. There's no sheriff's deputies there.
So if I wanted to be protected, I'd have to have the sheriff with me, or you.
Yeah, or carry your own gun.
Yeah, well, that's too much trouble.
I thought we moved it over there to keep Glenn out of these. Did I misunderstand?
No, no, Glenn is welcome.
Any other questions from the council? Questions from the audience?
Council Steve Olson, County Attorney. I will just note that under our lease with the city, they do have the ability to have security for the city courts to the extent they desire it, just for your awareness.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Any other questions? Questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to appropriate $250,000 from the general fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and that passes 5-0.
Commissioners asking for $23,000 from the general fund.
So that's being withdrawn because it was placed on here by mistake. So we don't need that money, and it's been removed, or we'd like to have it removed from the agenda. And so we're withdrawing that request. Thank you.
Up next, we have Highway Department asking for $1,177,785.27 from the edit fund.
Good evening, Council. Kyle Wagner, Highway Department. To better explain this one, would request to move to letter S on the agenda. Normally when I submit this in an email, I put it in that order, but it did not go that way this time. So this is a transfer between funds for road maintenance at the end of calendar year 2025. This is the end cap of major moves of $1,177,785.27, greater than the target growth rate at 1.9%. The major moves ordinance allows council to appropriate these funds for road maintenance without repayment and used for 2026.
Awesome. So this is S we're dealing with, the transfer first.
Yes, this is item S.
So S is asking for $1,177,785.27 from the major moves fund. But like you said, it's a transfer between the two funds.
So you want to move it and then?
I'd like to move it and then appropriate it into a project for the road program for 2026.
If I can, I'll move to approve both items Q and S.
I will second that.
So we've introduced both those, correct?
Yeah.
Those have both been introduced. Okay. So any questions from the council on either item S or item Q?
I will. Glenn's got one, and I will also give credence to the councils that came long before me for taking that major moves and doing what they've done with it.
Glenn Goshen. I still have a problem with some of the procedure on this. If I understand right, under certain things, we can't use money one way, so we give it to another, we'll call it account number, and then we suck the money out of that. To me, that's a slush fund.
No,
that is.
Glenn, can I explain? Because I know what you're referring to. What we thought in the past was we could not use from, I believe it was the general fund. We, for whatever reason, we had this idea that long before any of us, that you couldn't spend out of the general fund on the roads. So what we would do is move it from the general fund to the rainy day and then spend it out of that. That is not what's going on here. This is the interest that's been built up from major moves when the prior council, now they have to take it and put it into
something else
to appropriate it for roads.
Okay, why does it have to be appropriated for roads, not go into someplace like rainy day? I have a CD or two when it reaches where the level that I bought it for, basically, then I siphon off the top and put it someplace else where instead of, we'll
Yeah.
call it blowing it.
So-
And that's why I'm questioning, if we can make $1 million something off of that, then that's $1 million more that could be loaned back out to our own departments instead of,
Well,
that's my opinion.
That's what that does. This year, I know, for example, we didn't get community crossings grant. No municipality in Elkhart County did for the first time since I've been on the council. So this is a way to fund our roads on the interest that we're garnering without actually spending out of the general fund.
Isn't that by ordinance that it has
By
to go
ordinance.
to roads?
It is, okay, well, wasn't aware. I knew that there was some,
Let me address that. Back when we received that initial 24.8 million or whatever it is, the toll road counties, northern part of the state, a lot of the counties, everybody had all these projects. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Not accounting for the fact that at some point, maintenance is needed.
mm-hmm.
And if you spend all your money, if we'd have spent the 24 on new projects, 25 years later, you hit the wall because where's the maintenance coming from? So we set this up under ordinance so that we wanted growth on the fund. So that over the 75 years of the toll road lease, the fund could triple from roughly 24 to 0.8 to 75 million. So that takes about a 1.9% return to the fund from the interest earnings to get that growth over 75 years. So the way we set the ordinance up, the differential between the 1.9 and whatever we earn is money that can be returned back to roads and bridges and so forth for maintenance.
Okay.
So we've built in a maintenance mechanism to cover the capital projects.
I'd prefer it to go into general fund, rainy day fund, something along that line, but I understand what you're saying. It just sometimes leaves a bad taste in your mouth, the way it appears to be done. It's a shuffle game. So thank you.
Just because we don't read these anymore here. So that was originally of 24.9. That has grown to almost $37 million in the 10 years that the councils way before us had the right mind to invest it instead of spending.
Pretty
it
good
all.
investment. Good
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the audience? Back to the council, any comments? If not, it's been moved and seconded, transfer $1,177,785.27 from the Major Moves Fund. And it's also been moved and seconded to appropriate from the Edit Fund $1,177,785.27. All in favor of both those motions, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. So they pass 5-0.
Highway Department asking for $200,000 from the Edit Fund.
Excuse me. These funds will be used for Bridge 380, which is on East Beardsley Avenue over Christiana Creek, just west of Johnson Street. The funds will be used for engineering assessments, which include surveying, environmental services, bank stability analysis, and other associated costs to develop alternatives for the replacement or rehabilitation of this bridge. The existing bridge is structurally deficient, and this project is to be locally funded by the county, and it is in our 10-year plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions from the council? Questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to appropriate $200,000 from Edit Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say no. And that passes 5-0.
Highway asking for $500,000 from the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund.
These funds will be used for the 2026 paving, chip seal, and road maintenance and other associated costs.
Move to approve. Second.
Any other comments from the council, comments from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to appropriate $500,000 from motor vehicle highway fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Highway asking for $500,000 from the Road Maintenance and Construction Fund.
This is a second appropriation for the road maintenance in 2026 for paving, chip seal, construction, and other associated costs.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions from the council? Questions from the audience? It's been moved and seconded to approve $500,000 from the Road Maintenance and Construction Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0. The next one is from Highway Department asking for $1,354,286.27 from the Fiber Fund. So for this one, like it states on the appropriation, the auditor's office had to set up a new fiber fund and get rid of the prior fund. It is more of a accounting, bookkeeping detail that we had to change so the monies flow properly. So that's why I'm speaking instead of Kyle.
I have no problem with it. For my learning, why did we?
So when you set up a fund in our financial software, it asks you if the fund is calendar, if it's ongoing. So if you choose ongoing, the money like truly continues. And when we run reports, they can't balance properly because it's ongoing instead of calendar, where it's truly from 1/1 to 12/31. So it's
Gotcha. So it's just, okay.
Yeah.
Move
So
to
this-
approve.
Was there a second?
Second.
Any questions from the council? Questions from the audience? So I want to make sure I know what we're doing here. We're transferring funds in this, between funds.
Yes, so this $1,354,286.27 is currently in the old fiber fund. And we need to move it into their new fund so they can properly spend out of the new fund. And the new fund was presented in an ordinance a couple meetings ago.
Okay, so the new fund is 4931. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to transfer $1,354,286.27 from the fiber fund 4928 to the new fiber fund 4931. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. That passes 5-0.
Up next, we have the sheriff's office asking for $6,180,120 from the Lit Special Purpose Fund.
Good evening, Jeff Siegel, Sheriff's Office, 26861 County Road 26, Building A. We discussed this at budget time. This would be moving the salaries for corrections staff from the general fund to the jail special lit, which would be the amount presented in the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Questions from the audience? If not, it's been moved and seconded to appropriate $6,180,120 from the Lit Special Purpose Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Next, we have the sheriff's office asking for $25,518 from their donation fund.
These are funds that are donated to the sheriff's office, typically from citizens who support two of our programs, one being K-9, the other being Shop with the Sheriff. These funds would then be utilized, split between those two programs.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Last year, by pure coincidence, my 9-year-old and I ended up being at Meyer when you guys were doing a Shop with the Sheriff. You guys were having way too much fun, which was awesome to see. And the kids, like, it was just an amazing to see these kids having a blast, running around, climbing on sheriff's backs, jumping all over the place. I mean, it was awesome to see. So I just commend you guys and your staff for that. Community outreach is huge in this day and age. It was just awesome to see, and to see how many of your officers showed up for that was awesome.
It's good to hear. Most days we don't get to have a whole lot of fun. So it is nice to have some special programs where we can have fun while interacting with kids and the general public. So thank you for that.
Any other comments, questions from the council? Comments or questions from the audience? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve $25,518 from the sheriff's donation fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. That passes 5-0.
Sheriff's Office asking for $22,918 from their STAR grant fund.
So kind of like the health department mentioned earlier, this is grant money from the drug-free partnership. We use these funds for overtime for our crash investigators who respond to investigate serious bodily injury or fatal crashes that we believe involve alcohol or other drugs. So these offset our overtime budget.
Motion approved. Second.
Any questions from the council? Any other questions? Questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve $22,918 from the STAR Grant Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Up next, we have solid waste asking for, or landfill asking for $3,342,546 from the solid waste operating fund.
Excuse me. Hi, John Bowers, Director of Solid Waste. This money is being appropriated out of our operating fund. I think I discussed this at budget a little bit with you guys, that I knew that our budget for this year would be lean for the project that we're doing. I will tell you that the bids came in for this particular appropriation at $6,691,490. That's for approximately a 20-acre cell addition at the landfill. And the next lowest bid was a little over 10 million. I also appreciate the fact that this particular low bid is a local entity in Elkhart, so the money will stay local. So I felt pretty positive about, one, the price, and two, who's doing it, so.
Any questions from the council?
Who's the contractor?
C&E Excavating.
Okay, pretty good. Yep.
Questions from the audience? We have a motion for
Motion
this.
approved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. This is a transfer between funds. It's been moved and seconded to transfer between funds, $3,342,546 between.
I can read the next one if you want me. So the fund that this goes with is Solid Waste Capital Reserve, which is labeled as AB on the agenda. And it's the same dollar amount, $3,342,546.
So I don't know if somebody wants to second this, but I'll move to approve items Z and AB because they're related.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions amongst the council for that? Or the audience, any questions? Okay, so I'm not just sure how this is going to read. We need to approve item Z1, which is a transfer between the funds. I'm still not sure which funds we're transferring from the landfill to what?
So what we're doing is we have an operating fund at the landfill that is 1194. That's the landfill fund that receives all of our money. We pay our bills out of, so forth. So that fund grows with the business hopefully it grows. If it diminishes, then you probably need to get rid of me. But
we're transferring that
to the capital reserve fund that will help pay for the cell. That's the fund that we put our capital money into.
Okay, so that's 4915.
Correct.
Okay, so we're transferring from fund number 1194 to 4915. That's one thing we're doing. I've got a motion and a second for that. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0. So
Steve made a motion for both of them.
Okay, so AA,
AB.
AB,
AB.
it's the matching one.
Okay, so that's an appropriation for $3,342,546 from the Solid Waste Capital Reserve Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Solid Waste asking for $2,797,454 from the Solid Waste Capital Reserve.
So this money is already residing in capital reserve, and what I do is we hold approximately 3 years of capital, anticipated capital within the capital reserve fund to operate the business. So in anticipation of this size of cell, I have been accumulating some money over those periods of time, like year 2 and 3 from here. So what I'm doing is taking that money that I've accumulated, targeted for this cell, along with approximately $497,454 of savings that we had from prior projects that we pulled back into our ledger balance. So now I'm taking that money and the money that I programmed within the capital plan to make enough money in the project with your prior appropriation to pay for this cell improvement.
So you saved money, now you want to spend it on the project that you saved it for.
No, actually, I saved money on a project and now I'm taking that savings and moving it to another project. And hopefully I can save money on this project and move it to the next one.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any comments or questions from the council? Comments or questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to appropriate $2,797,454 from the Solid Waste Capital Reserve Fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you. This is my first opportunity to welcome Tiara as auditor, so I wanted to do that publicly.
Thank you.
Should have given her a hard time instead.
Yeah. It's like it help you pay your bills.
Okay, we have one reduction request. From the general fund, $344,255.85.
Kathy Searcy, Elkhart County Assessor. This reduction request is to remove all the funds out of 1,000 Department 114, which is Concord. All of the responsibilities have been moved over to our office. So we wanted to remove these funds. The only thing that remains is actually the salary. If there would happen to be an elected official somehow through the year, there's money there to pay that. So we have these reductions, just a little bit of an update. We hired one person from their office. Very good choice. He fit right in with our office. He hit the ground running. We hired an employee that we had in the past that ventured off to something new and decided she wanted to come back. So she's already got all of her training. So we were fortunate we didn't have to train anyone with all of the information that it needs to be for a good employee that can hit the ground running with this. It was a good step, I believe. They've tried to do this down at the state for quite a few years, but in the commissioners, Jeff Taylor, HR, they've all worked with me in trying to make this go as smoothly as possible. And all of the employees in my office were willing to step up and help out. We had quite a bit to get done and everyone pitched in. We didn't have to work extra hours, but I think we're up to speed for 2026. We have a lot of work to catch up on out in the field, but I think we can accomplish that in the rest of this calendar year.
So Kathy, if I'm understanding, you cut 2 positions last year out of your office, correct?
I didn't cut them, but I didn't fund them. So I had 2 people that had retired. So when I did my budget for this year, I didn't fund those. So you saw a reduction in my budget. Then when this happened, I came before you for an additional appropriation for 3 people. But I'm not going to fill one of those. So technically, I'm taking over Concord without
any extra people from last year.
And right here, we've got 344,000, but that doesn't include other benefits that those people would have received.
Right, and these are rough estimates. Because of my reassessment fund, when I pay people out of there, I can see payroll costs that we don't see when our payroll comes out of the general fund. But their perf contributions, this is rough, again, $40,000. Their insurance premiums, I have 4 people in my reassessment fund, and my insurance costs are $75,000. So I roughly estimated $100,000 for 6 people, whether that's right or wrong. Your wellness that every employee gets, that's $9,000. The county pays into Social Security, which is $17,000. And then the employee that you funded for me, but I'm not going to use, was another $52,000. So it gives you an additional $218,000 in savings.
So we're cutting from our budget roughly $500,000.
Yes.
Which is, thank you. When people talk about, this is what we always ask about, show us the reduction, show us the headcount deduction. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think we'll see more uniformity. You're going to have some places in Concord that you may get some calls on where people are not very happy. The Willows, which is a mobile home park behind Target, a lot of those units out there are selling, I'm going to roughly say 100, 120 when they sell. Most of them were only being valued at $30,000. So we didn't do a big jump. We brought it up some, and then next year we'll try and catch them up again. So it's not quite such a big shock to these people. But again, we found houses that people have lived in for 2 years. They were never assessed. They were never picked up. We don't know why. We are not going to go back and bill those people for the 2 years. That's just not fair to the taxpayer. But we will get them set up and get them going. Found some errors. If we can give credit back where there were errors, we're trying to do that. But we don't want the taxpayers of Concord Township to suffer through this transition. So I think it's going to work out really well. And the legislation that changed personal property, the exemption from 80,000 to 2 million, that's eliminating a lot of work there. So that's part of the reason we don't need that third person. But yeah, thank you. I've wanted this to happen for a long time, but between you guys and the commissioners, you made it happen. And you were the talk of the Indiana Assessors Association conference in January. So the people around the state know.
Well, I want to say thank you for a great job done,
Thank you.
and we appreciate it.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Tom, I just want to thank your staff for us as well.
Yeah.
Because this has been a huge uplift. It's not just you. I mean, your staff is amazing. I've known that for a while.
Yeah,
with
they're
what I
good
do.
people. Yeah.
But they did a big uplift, and to be able to do this with basically a wash on employees is very good.
Yeah.
So please make sure that they have our thanks as well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. They're a great group of people.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any comments from the audience or questions? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded for a reduction to the Concord assessor budget for 2026 of $344,255.85. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
So we've got 2 transfers here that need our approval, one from the Health Department, from professional to cleaning of $3,168, and then Healthy Babies from office supplies and other operating supplies.
Motion to approve transfers AD and AE.
Both been moved and seconded to approve transfers AD and AE. All those I'm sorry, any comments from the audience on these? If not, it's been moved and seconded to approve AE and AD. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, and that passes 5-0. There are transfers and they do not require council action, and that's available in the auditor's office. So we're ready for other business.
Good evening, Steve Olson, County Attorney. First item under other business is consideration of an ordinance amending and restating the Elkhart County Local Major Moves Construction Fund Ordinance. This is CC 2026-06. You guys have taken some appropriations with respect to the Major Moves Ordinance. This amendment is for the purpose of ensuring loan repayment as straightforward as possible and reducing administrative costs. The goal in this amendment is to be able to make administration of these, since this is internal or within local government, as easy as possible. This amendment includes simplified payment processes, a consistent payment structure, late payment procedures, and prepayment options.
Comments from the council or questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Comments or questions from the audience? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve CC 2026-06. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Next item on the council agenda is consideration of interlocal agreement funding wastewater treatment plant expansion. This interlocal agreement is one that council specifically requested. You may recall in a prior meeting, you did an appropriation. You wanted to ensure that there was an appropriate split between the county and Middlebury. And this interlocal agreement is what establishes that. This is between the town council of Middlebury, the town of Middlebury's RDC, the county RDC, and the Elkhart County Council. This does cover the protocols in place for the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant in Middlebury. The town will be overseeing that entire project. The total estimated cost associated with that project, as has been described in the past, is $22,500,000. The split is 40% county, 60% Middlebury. That was what was discussed previously and has been put in place in this interlocal agreement. That 40% from the county will be exclusively through TIF funding. That TIF funding is split between the State Road 13 TIF and the Middlebury East TIF. State Road 13 being a $6 million contribution and Middlebury East being a $3 million contribution. Those contributions will be spread out. You will continue to see appropriations coming pursuant to the plan set forth in this interlocal agreement. They started last year with your $1.5 million contribution, and they will continue all the way through 2032. So it is spread out to ensure the TIF funds are properly coming in and can be utilized for this. The town funding is split between the town's TIF districts and other funds to be contributed from the town. We have ensured in this interlocal agreement that should the amount for the project be less than the $22,500,000, or there be an agreement to reduce the scope of the project, that the funding must still be kept at a 40% county, 60% Middlebury split. That way, to the extent the county has paid more upfront, and it gets reduced in some way, you will see a reimbursement, and that TIF money will be reimbursed back into those two TIF accounts, as I know that was important to the county. As we continue looking through this, the town's obligations, we wanted to make sure under the interlocal agreement that this allowed for expansion on the south side of State Road 13. And so there is built into this a town obligation that the town is reserving capacity for and allowing connections to the town-owned wastewater utility infrastructure and treatment system for all eligible users located within the boundaries of the TIF district and within the service area to be established by the Elkhart County Regional Sewer District should that project move forward as anticipated, allowing for the Regional Sewer District to get water and sewer within those territories where the TIF district's at for their benefit. As I mentioned before, the town is responsible for the overall management of the project. They will have the ownership of course, their wastewater system, and we have built-in limitation of liability and indemnity protection for the county. That is the interlocal agreement that's before you today.
Questions from the council? Questions from the audience?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve an interlocal agreement funding wastewater treatment plant expansion between Middlebury and Elkhart County. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, and opposed say no. That passes 5-0. Thank you, Steve.
Your next agenda item is presentation of Baker Tilly 2023 and 2024 reconciliation results letter. The county council may recall that funding was put in place. The treasurer came forward and recognized a auditor or State Board of Accounts audit finding that revealed an unidentified variance. She requested specifically that the commissioners and council assist in trying to identify and make sure there were no issues with that variance, clean that up. Baker Tilly was retained for those services. On February 9, 2026, we received the 2023 and 2024 reconciliation results letter. As a part of that process, Baker Tilly reviewed activity from October 2023 through December 2024, and we want to make sure both the council and the public knew the outcome of this results from the Baker Tilly review. The variance appears to, pursuant to what Baker Tilly has identified, the variance appears to have been inadvertent, as no findings of fraudulent activity were identified. Instead, transposed numbers, meaning they flip-flopped, unrecorded or misposted entries, and disbursements made in one calendar year that cleared the bank in the next calendar year are the root cause of the unidentified variance. The reason for these inadvertent errors was a transition of personnel. The county had lost several years of institutional knowledge when a specific employee left, which had been overseeing some of these elements. And so that is why Baker Tilly believes some of these inadvertent errors occurred. After the detailed reconciliation, the remaining variance was down to $6,349.70, or 0.001789% of the county's overall cash position. The final reconciliation reflects accurate, verifiable balances and provides a clear, verifiable foundation and reliable baseline for future reporting. The key part of this is at this point in time, the variance has been reduced to an amount that the State Board of Accounts would agree with the county's position on not spending further money to try and get rid of that variance, but instead using now the clear, verifiable foundation and reliable baseline for moving forward. It's also very nice to have clear evidence from Baker Tilly that it was inadvertent and not an issue of fraud or other concern. So with that, there's no specific action on this, but I want to make sure the board was aware, or the council was aware of the update following their results since we received that on February 9, 2026. Presuming there's no questions on that, I'll be happy to move on to your next agenda item. Okay. The next agenda item you have is consideration and approval of CC 2026-07, an ordinance of the Elkhart County Council establishing the GDP Environmental Improvement Fund for the Elkhart County Soil and Water Conservation District. I will note that GDP in this case is not what you typically think of as GDP. This would be your Goshen Dam Pond, also referred to now as GDP for purposes of this fund, so it could be short enough that we could get it on our books. This is to establish the GDP Environmental Improvement Fund. It is a separate and distinct fund to be named as just stated. It has fund number 4933. Treasurer serves as the custodian. Auditor serves as the auditing agent. All expenditures will be used for the authorized purposes. This is specifically because the Goshen Dam Pond EID was terminated, and we will be working with the commissioners to be able to transfer funds into this fund so they can still be used for proper purposes dealing with sediment reduction for that Goshen Dam Pond, but now making it so it's no longer a burden placed on the EID. It is a non-reverting fund, and it will take effect immediately.
So I talked to Jim Hess today about this because, as many know, I don't like to establish new taxes, so this is no new money. And he already is working with Kosciuszko County to be able to flip some of this money into grants to further help working upstream. Just the EID couldn't do what our Soil and Water Conservation District can do, so this will help a larger area than just the dam itself as it goes upstream. And so yeah, so if anybody had questions, Jim and I had a pretty long talk on it today, so I'll motion to approve.
To that note, I will let council know once all of the funds that are transferred into this are spent, I anticipate this fund will be closed out as there is no incoming source of revenue for this fund.
I'm glad you added that.
Anything's about 5 years is what he project life.
All right, then I'll second.
Any other questions or comments? It's been moved and seconded to pass CC 2026-07. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no, and that passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, so we're at the end of our meeting now, scheduled items, and we have audience items. So members of the public who wish to speak will be provided opportunity, and persons have signed in, and the presentation should be limited to 3 minutes. And the first one on the list is Pam Kaiser.
Pam Kaiser, Middlebury.
So yesterday I was at the State House testifying on a bill. And while I was there, I went into the Ways and Means Committee to actually hear about what was going on with SB 8. And so I can give you an update to what was said earlier. So SB 8 was put into SB 4, which is various fiscal matters. And this, so it was put in there. There was no question or concern about this amendment going into this bill. So it really appears that it will pass. And I'm looking forward to that because, you know, I've voiced many concerns regarding library budgets and spending a lot of money on salaries. And boy, I guess you all are ready to leave because nobody's looking at me. Anyway, so just so you know that looks like it's going to happen. During the committee discussion on SB4, Representative Smaltz addressed the issue of properties being removed from the tax rolls. He stated clearly, if you have property off the tax rolls, everyone else has to pay. Everyone has to make it up. To me, this directly applies to mechanisms like TIFs and tax abatements. These tools divert or reduce property tax revenue that would otherwise flow into general fund for schools, essential services, and other public needs. The shortfalls must then be made up by other taxpayers through higher rates or levies to maintain the same level of funding. I have heard claims that TIFs and abatements have no effect on taxpayers. If I am mistaken, please correct me for the record, because that is not what Representative Smaltz said. He explicitly noted that when property is taken off the tax rolls, taxpayers have to make up the difference. The people of Elkhart County are already feeling squeezed by the burden of rising taxes, while how the county spends its money falls to this council, so does accountability for TIFs and abatements. The others that are part of this, I would say accountable for this, are the redevelopment commissions, the Economic Development Corporation, planning commissions, MACOG, the South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership, and the commissioners. What steps are you going to be taking to address this issue and ensure these incentives do not unfairly shift costs onto everyday taxpayers? Because like anybody else, we all want lower taxes. Thank you for your time.
I do want to make one statement towards that. So when we do a TIF, it's not removing anything from the tax rolls. So what gets removed from tax rolls is if you see Elkhart General buying a new property that's a nonprofit, that comes off the tax rolls. When you see that's what removes tax rolls. So a TIF, it removes the future growth and it doesn't even remove it all. So there is, when a TIF happens, some funds get put to the county and so it's a delay for the growth. But if you look at the Amazon property, it's the 200 million is what they requested. I think it's going to assess for more than that, to be honest. But the farm ground that was there, that dollar amount that was being assessed is continued to assess. What they get the break on is the growth. That's what the TIF does. It's the income tax growth for that area. The reason we do TIFs most of the time is an area that's not being managed, not being grown, like the Amazon area that wasn't being touched for years. When somebody comes to us to say, hey, we're willing to develop this land. It's been sitting vacant. It's being sold as commercial. It's zoned. We're going to grow it in. So what's being removed, though, that's talking, which is very bad. If you look around Elkhart County, the amount of properties that are nonprofits or government owned is staggering. And that's what happens is you're seeing these doctors' offices that become nonprofits as they grow and they go back. Doctors are selling their practices. So when it goes from a private owned practice to owned by these conglomerate nonprofits, that's coming off the tax rolls. So when it's talking about properties coming off tax rolls, that's it. TIF does not remove a property from the tax rolls, though. So I do want to clear that up.
But the money that is in the TIF does not go to schools and other things, correct?
The growth, correct.
Right away.
Not right away. It will eventually, but it's only the growth. So the original tax base in that TIF continues to go where it's going. So it's the growth from the new entities that are brought in. Yeah.
Okay, the only thing is when I first started to learn about TIFs, I heard, 25 years. Now I hear it goes on forever because it can go on forever. So I have a hard time believing that we're going to eventually get that back. It's just a song and dance to me. And bottom line is, taxpayers, we don't want to be burdened. And we do not want money that should be going to decrease our taxes for other things in the way of economic development.
The TIF can go on forever, but on that property, it's 8 or 10 years. So your statement you're making there is wrong. That property is 8 or 10 years for the tax difference. It's not forever. So that taxes will go to school after 8 or 10 years.
Well, I've never heard that said before. I've never heard that said
When we
before.
vote on the abatements, we vote on it for 8 or 10 years.
So the 25 years is how long those funds.
But it's an argument that can't be won. I don't think. So
What I was gonna state is-
you've got all kinds of people that are getting property tax, being taken off property tax rolls. Churches aren't required to pay property tax, hospitals, schools, colleges.
La Casa.
I mean, it's an unending, Kathy could tell you. I mean, she could give you a list, I'm sure, but it's just an ongoing list.
Greencroft.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
so-
what they're talking about, those.
Yeah.
but this is a concern that we should all be concerned about. I don't care if it's now or delayed or later, whatever it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. No.
Glednall Goshen. Couple things. I didn't realize the Concord Township thing was costing the county $500,000. I'd been up here screaming a long time ago that, by the time you figure out, it's just not what you're paying somebody, it's the side things that you have to pay. It actually comes back and hurts you hard, especially when it comes to government, because you got, we'll call it perf, I don't know what the new term is, if it's there or not. Things like that. Social Security, you already have to pay. Health, oh, there's the big one. And then you find out later there was a good old boy system going on that either if they did assess it, it was a joke, or I don't see a house there at all, which hurts us all. And, hurts the township stuff like fire department, the schools, things like that. In general, the people of that township. My mom always used to complain about how expensive Concord Township was, and it's still one of the highest ones when it comes to school and everything else. So she'd probably have a heart attack with the amount that they charge for small lots for taxes. So to Tom's point about how long I've been around, I can remember when Leatherman started or closely after that. I came to meetings and they were so tight that, I might be able to speak at the end if he's seen me, to heaven forbid that I had an opinion on something you were spending my money on, and slowly changed the council a long time ago. It started to come around. Tom opened it up a lot more, and I appreciate that. But I don't think Tom's gonna be the head of the council for 30 years like the last guy was. We could use him there, but I don't think he's gonna make it, to be honest with you. You're old. I understand old. These punk kids here, other than Dave Hess, but no, Steve, to your point about sugar, I don't know if you remember, these guys. If you cough more than 4 times around my grandma, she'd get that big spoon of sugar out and put a little bit of kerosene on it, and you didn't cough around her anymore. So that's where that comes from. I do appreciate the plaque, we'll call it. I sent a picture to my wife and she was quite pleased with that. I appreciate that. I will miss coming to see you guys. This is the best government body that I routinely address. Not as stressful. You guys have listened to me in the past on some things and I appreciate it. I'm just, we'll muddle through and go as long as we can, and if things turn around, I'll come back. Like I told the commissioners, if you try to pull that crap you did on COVID, I'll be back. You don't want me back, but you guys are pretty reasonable about that and things. So I appreciate everything, and the fact that we get to, as citizens, address you. I just hope at least 2 or 3 people step up into my shoes and, like I told the commissioners, hold your feet to the fire. And if you promise something, I'm going to hang you on it. Quite a few people have said words that come back to haunt them and people remembered. So thank you very much.
Those are some hard shoes to fill there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, with that, is there anyone else who wants to speak? If not, we're ready to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and
Second approved.
seconded to adjourn.
Mine's got me emotional. I can't help it.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.